it would be better for the United States representatives to say so in advance to reduce the chances of us making the mistake rather than waiting until afterwards. Prevention is better than cure, but that does require courageously speaking out.
Parliament has paused its deliberations over the Expropriation Bill. Joining me to discuss is Gabriel Crouse of the IRR. He has been running a very energetic campaign against the EWC Bill. So, Gabriel, we're recording on Thursday at around lunchtime. Yesterday, Wednesday, there was a sudden, abrupt pause to proceedings on the EWC Bill, which is currently before the Portfolio Committee on Public Works and Infrastructure. What has been happening there in Parliament?
Yes, David, it was certainly a surprise, so much so that after the ANC MP said that we need to stop this now and have a final re-look, the DA MP was then asked to speak and sort of ummed and ahed and said, I'm very surprised. I did not see this coming, but we welcome a pause. I think a brief look back on the stage in the process that we're at. For a bill to become a law, it first has to go through a committee process, then it goes to the floor of the National Assembly, then it goes through the provincial process, and then it goes to the president's desk. This is the final step of the committee process, was supposed to be completed yesterday, and that would then put it in front of Parliament, in front of the National Assembly to vote on. But instead of taking that final step, there was this pause. The ANC said it wanted a relook, a final relook, which I think was very surprising because it's policy of the ANC since 2017. Ramaphosa just re-endorsed the Expropriation Bill as it stands 2 months ago. And the committee itself had looked at this thing and endorsed it clause by clause only a week ago. So something changed in the last week to invite a relook.
Right, now, Gabriel, you and your colleagues submitted an 11th hour appeal to MPs, imploring them to desist from supporting this bill. Do you think that that campaigning had any influence over this sudden pause in proceedings?
I can't be certain, David, but it was certainly a topic of hot discussion during the committee meeting, which was put up on YouTube, as these meetings all are. We saw from the very get-go, the chairperson says, we're here for the final step. By the way, I got this correspondence. I know everyone else got private correspondence, some of us to our own private email addresses. It's not good. The submissions process formally closed a while ago. Of course, the IRR is aware of that. We made our formal submissions a while ago. But while we weren't named, reference was made to this private correspondence half a dozen times in the course of what turned out to be a very short meeting. To make 2 points. One point being sort of, well, we're not ignoring it. We're welcome to hear it, but also sort of we are ignoring it. It's too late. That contradiction wasn't quite resolved. But of course, there's a real chance that we did invite or produce the relook for, amongst other things, one simple reason, which is that we pointed out our independent polling showed in 2020 that only 15% of white respondents and only 15% of black respondents, an even number across those two races, supported expropriation without compensation. Over 80% of all races supported growth, both in economic productivity terms and in terms of jobs. It really is a very real choice. You either get a growing economy or you have expropriation without compensation. And the overwhelming majority of South Africans want a growing economy. Showing that to a politician, I suppose, who is worried about the declining popularity of their party, who sees what happened in 2021 and is worried about what might happen in 2024, could very well have invited a final relook.
Now, international politics also plays a role in this, Gabriel. By the time this video comes out, President Ramaphosa will be meeting with President Biden of the United States. Do you think that the build-up to this high-level diplomatic engagement would have perhaps influenced the deliberations of the committee?
Absolutely. I think that it's a very serious consideration. It's the first one that actually jumped to my mind when I saw that this delay had happened. I think that it's worth noting Joe Biden has a history with South Africa. When he was a senator, he was a very proud opponent of apartheid, which is good and well. Ramaphosa, I think his best days, in a sense, were in the 80s and 90s as an opponent to apartheid as well. I think those two presidents would like to bask in one another's glory, to pay compliments to one another, to really get along. I think EWC, however, is a sticking point. Both Democratic and Republican US administrations have been critical of South Africa's trade and property rights policies, explicitly so. Biden's administration has not been explicitly critical, but to have the EWC vote 2 days before his visit would bring that tension so close that it would have been very difficult for Biden to not say anything about it, given, for example, the Institute's role in putting this issue literally on the news placards on the streets of South Africa, putting it on screens across the country, and putting it in the minds of parliamentarians. Also, it should be noted, we have reached out to the US Embassy and made our concerns very directly clear about the Expropriation Bill and about the need for the United States to forewarn South Africa if it is going to cut us out of the AGOA trade deal or in any other way respond negatively to this infringement on property rights. It would be better for the United States representatives to say so in advance to reduce the chances of us making the mistake rather than waiting until afterwards. Prevention is better than cure, but that does require courageously speaking out.
Yeah, and you mentioned AGOA, the African Growth and Opportunity Act, which is a piece of legislation from the US Congress, which governs the trade relationship with Africa. One of the conditions for participation in that trade agreement is respecting private property rights and US investments as well. So I think that could be potentially a sticking point. But now, Gabriel, you on the domestic front have also been busy. You met with the Consumer Goods Council today. What was the purpose of your engagement there?
So we started out by reaching out to various major food groups and food retailers in the country. Our concern is food security and business sustainability. The United Nations estimates that 1.5 million children in South Africa have stunted growth as a result of malnutrition, and that number is climbing to 1.7 million in the next 2 or 3 years. So we're already failing very seriously in terms of food security. On the other hand, we're by far the most food secure country on the African continent. The problem with the Expropriation Bill is that, as it was tried in Venezuela, in Zimbabwe, there was just smash and grab land redistribution. Ramaphosa's promise it won't be smash and grab. I think it's fair to say that it will mainly be grab with minimum smash by legitimizing the process. That's what Venezuela did. Simple, legitimate land grabs. And the result is that the average Venezuelan has lost something like 12 kilograms in weight in the last decade or so as a result of the increases in costs of basic foodstuffs. So, for well-off people, that means changing what you eat or spending more on what you eat. But for poor people, it really means eating less, and for working class people. So that's our concern. We brought that concern to the attention of these food groups that have a lot of social commitments to not just selling stuff, but also serving their customers in a broader sense. They then redirected us to the CGCSA as the consortium that has 8,000 members. And they invited us to give them a briefing and to have a discussion about how to go forward. I've just concluded that. I don't want to get into the details, but I will say it was positive. That is a consortium of extreme significance. They sit right in the middle of the disaster that's about to unfold, in the sense that once property rights are undermined by the Expropriation Bill, you have a crunch on investment. We already see that gross fixed capital formation is half of what it would otherwise be in peer developing economies. We think that a lot of that money is staying away from investment because of threats to property rights through the Expropriation Bill. You have even less investment, you have less production. That means you've got increased prices. It also means you've got increased import needs, which puts further strain on port facilities and rail and road networks that are already overstrained. That has further knock-on effects, which further increases prices, increases social strife, increases the rates at which highways are blockaded by angry mobs, fueled by further increasing unemployment and cost of living. South Africa is not the only country to be facing inflation, but it is just about the only country in the world where you have on average 10 violent protests a day. Add expropriation without compensation to that, and you have existential threat to just about every business in the country in one fashion or another. So yeah, we're in dialogue there, and with the banks, with the major commercial real estate developers, construction builders. We really want businesses around the country to do what ordinary South Africans have done. 500,000 South Africans signed up with the IRR to say, let's defend property rights, not erode them. We want big businesses to join in on that opposition to EWC in the face of this new threat through the EWC bill.
Gabriel Crouse, thank you very much. Let's hand over to you, our audience. Do you think EWC can be stopped? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this analysis, please do like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. My name is David Ansara. This is the CRA. Until next time, take care.